The sky was burning. Smoke and fire rolled over the battlefield like a living thing, twisting and crawling in the cold air. Ash drifted down on the black soil, covering the ground in a thin gray skin. The alien soldier stood still, his armor heavy but familiar, his weapon warm in his hands. He had seen all this before. The noise of artillery, the smell of burned metal, the cries of the wounded, they were nothing new to him. War was a job. That was how he saw it. You fight, you win, you go home. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you die. But there was no magic in it, no mystery. For years, battles had been the same. Formations, fire, retreat, advance, repeat. Victory belonged to the one with the better numbers or the stronger weapons. He had learned that early, and it had never changed. Until today, he saw them through. The smoke, the humans. Small compared to his kind, fragile. Their armor looked thin, their weapons crude. They moved without the strict precision of soldiers. They did not keep perfect lines. They shouted to each other, their voices cutting through the roar of war. Some even laughed in the face of gunfire. It was strange, it was wrong. And it made him uneasy. His commander stood beside him, scanning the human lines. "Do not worry," the commander said. "They will break quickly, they always do." The alien soldier nodded, but his eyes stayed on the humans. There was something in the way they moved, in the way they looked at the battlefield. Not fear, not cold discipline. Something else. A human soldier turned for a moment, maybe to check the flank, and their eyes met across the smoke. The alien soldier felt a small shock in his chest. The human's eyes burned, not with rage exactly, but with something deeper. He could not name it. It was like standing too close to a fire and feeling its heat on your skin. He shifted his weight and looked away. The artillery fired again, shaking the ground. He told himself it was nothing, just another fight, just another enemy. Yet his hand tightened on his weapon. The wind carried the smell of human weapons. Their fire was different, harsher, like the snap of breaking bones. The alien soldier noticed how they didn't hide behind cover for long. They leaned out, fired, shouted, moved forward even when they should have stayed still. It was chaos, not strategy. In his training, chaos was weakness. On the field, it usually meant death. But somehow, the humans did not fall apart. The alien soldier thought about his own people's way of fighting. Every move was measured, every strike planned. They were efficient, cold. That was why they always won against lesser species. But looking at the humans now, he could not shake the feeling that he was not seeing a lesser species. He was seeing something unpredictable. A sudden burst of light exploded on the left flank. He heard the screams of his own soldiers. Through the haze, he saw humans pushing forward in that sector, even though they were outnumbered. He frowned. Why push into an impossible fight? It made no sense. But they did not stop. The commander barked an order, and the alien soldier moved with his squad. As they advanced, the ground trembled under the humans' artillery. One shell landed close, sending dirt and metal into the air. He felt the shockwave in his bones. When he looked up again, the humans were closer. He could see their faces now, dirty, scarred, smeared with blood and ash. None of them looked afraid. If anything, they looked more alive than anyone he had ever seen in battle. It was as if the fight itself fed them. A memory came to him. Years ago, on a distant world, he had fought a species that screamed when they died, loud enough to haunt his dreams. But they had broken quickly once their leaders fell. That was the way of war. Cut the head, the body falls. He wondered now if that would work with humans. Somehow he doubted it. The air grew hotter, filled with burning debris. He kept moving, but his eyes returned again and again to the human line. They were holding, but not in the way trained soldiers held a line. They moved like individuals, but somehow their chaos worked. One would charge, another would cover, a third would throw themselves in harm's way to protect the others. It was not military discipline. It was something else. He caught sight of one human, a tall figure with a broken helmet visor. Blood ran down the man's face, but he was still shouting orders, still firing his weapon with one hand while pulling a wounded comrade with the other. The alien soldier could not look away. The commander's voice came over the comms, sharp and certain. "They are slowing. Press forward." The alien soldier obeyed, but his mind was no longer calm. War had always been familiar, like the rhythm of a song he knew by heart. But now the rhythm was changing. There was a note he had never heard before, and it was growing louder. Another explosion shook the ground, and for a moment he lost sight of the humans. When the smoke cleared, they were still there, closer, stronger. He felt a strange sensation in his chest. It was not fear. Not yet, but it was close. Something told him this was not going to be just another battle. This was going to be different. The alien soldier adjusted his grip on his weapon, the metal warm from his own hand. His breathing slowed. He tried to push the thought away, but it would not leave. He thought of the eyes he had seen through the smoke. Eyes that burned. Eyes that promised something he could not understand. And as the humans began their next push, he realized that for the first time in his life, he did not know what would happen next. The battlefield shifted like a living beast. The alien soldier could feel it in the air, the tension, the way the sounds changed, the way every shadow seemed to move. The gunfire was no longer a steady rhythm. It was uneven now, wild in some places, silent in others. That silence worried him more than the noise. Silence meant the humans were moving. His squad advanced along the ridge, keeping low. Their armor hummed softly with each step, power units feeding the energy shields. The soldier knew this ridge. Well, they had fought here before against another enemy and had won in less than an hour. But that enemy had been predictable. Below, the humans did not behave like any force he had seen. They spread out, vanishing into smoke and fire, only to appear again in the least expected places. One moment they were pinned down. The next they were charging with a roar that seemed to shake the ground itself. He fired at a figure moving through the haze. The human dropped, but not before throwing something small and bright. The device rolled toward a squadmate and exploded in a flash of white light and shrapnel. The alien soldier ducked, armor absorbing the impact. When his vision cleared, the squadmate was down, armor split open. The commander's voice came through. The comms clipped in calm. "Hold position. Do not let them push past the ridge." The soldier obeyed, but his eyes kept scanning for those flashes of movement in the smoke. The humans weren't just attacking, they were hunting. It was an uncomfortable thought. He watched one human sprint across open ground, weapon firing in short bursts. The alien soldier aimed, but before he could shoot, another human emerged from nowhere, covering the first with a barrage of fire. They moved like they had known each other for years, like their lives were woven together. He had seen soldiers fight well before, but never with this kind of connection. The alien soldier shifted behind a chunk of broken armor plating that had fallen from some massive war machine earlier in the day. The ground shook again, this time from human artillery. Their shells didn't just hit hard, they seemed aimed to force his people into the open, through the roar of weapons. He heard something strange, human voices shouting words he didn't understand, but the tone was unmistakable. It was defiance. Not commands, not tactical calls, but something raw. They were daring his people to come closer. He remembered the first time he had ever seen humans, long before this war. They had looked soft then. Their skin was uncovered. Their frames smaller, their technology outdated compared to his own people. But seeing them now in the middle of this firestorm, they no longer seemed small. They filled the space with their presence, as if refusing to be pushed aside by anything in the universe. A warning came over the comms. Enemy flanking. The alien soldier turned and saw 3 humans breaking through a weak point in their line. His squad opened fire, cutting down 2. The third kept coming, even with 2 shots tearing into his armor. The human charged straight into a cluster of alien soldiers, swinging a heavy blade when his gun ran dry. It took 4 of them to bring him down, and even then, the human managed to drag one of them to the ground before dying. The alien soldier found himself staring at the body. Most warriors would collapse when the fight was hopeless. This human had fought until his body refused to move. There was something terrifying about that. Another push came from the center of the human line. They moved forward in waves, their fire almost reckless. It shouldn't have worked. But every time a human fell, another seemed to take their place instantly, as if they were all bound by a silent promise that none would be left alone. The alien soldier fired into the advancing crowd, taking down one, then another. Still, they kept coming. His squad was forced to fall back a few meters. It wasn't much, but to the humans, even that tiny step was a victory. They pushed harder, their voices rising above the explosions. A sudden explosion on the far right flank drew his attention. Through the smoke, he saw the humans breaking through there as well. His commander ordered a counterattack, but it was too late. The humans were already inside their defensive line. The alien soldier fired at close range, the recoil slamming into his shoulder. A human lunged at him, weapon raised, but he sidestepped and struck the attacker with the butt of his rifle. The human fell but rolled to his knees, swinging again. There was no hesitation, no pause to think. Only forward motion, like they were powered by something deeper than orders. When the human finally fell still, the alien soldier's hands were shaking. Not from fear, at least that's what he told himself, but from the strange, heavy feeling in his chest. He had fought for years without feeling anything for the enemy. They were just targets, but this was different. These humans were not just soldiers. They were something else. The comms crackled again. Pull back to secondary line. The order was calm, but the alien soldier heard the tension beneath the voice. Retreat was not a word his people used often. As they fell back, he glanced over his shoulder. The humans were already claiming the ground they had lost, raising their weapons, shouting in triumph. Their movements were messy, their formations broken, and yet, they were winning. For the first time in his career, the alien soldier felt the battle slipping away, not because of numbers or weapons, but because of the will of the enemy. The humans fought like there was no line between life and death. Only the moment, only the fight. He had no word for it, but he knew one thing. If they kept coming like this, nothing could stop them. And deep inside, where no one could hear, he wondered what it would feel like to fight with them instead of against them. The retreat was controlled, but only barely. The alien soldier moved with his squad, the crunch of boots on broken stone mixing with the distant rumble of human artillery. The air behind them was thick with heat and smoke, and every few seconds, the sky would light up in flashes of orange and white. He could still hear the human voices, loud and fierce, echoing through the haze as if they were right behind him. The secondary defensive line was a wall of reinforced alloy, half buried into the hillside. It had been built to withstand weeks of siege. To his people, it was safety. But as he took position behind it, the alien soldier wondered how long that safety would last against the humans. The commander paced along the line, barking orders. They've gained ground, but they've bled for every meter. They'll break soon. The alien soldier almost believed him, almost. But a voice in the back of his mind whispered otherwise. He had seen the way the humans fought, the way they refused to fall back, the way each loss only seemed to fuel them. Breaking them would not be easy. It might not be possible. A low hum vibrated through the ground. It wasn't the sound of incoming fire. This was heavier, steadier. He realized it was the humans advancing again. Not in stealth, not in caution. They were coming straight at the wall. From the ridge above, alien artillery opened up, sending a curtain of fire down into the valley. He saw human shapes vanish in the blasts, but just as quickly, others filled their place. There was no pause, no hesitation. The alien soldier took aim and fired into the crowd, the recoil thudding into his shoulder. A human stumbled and fell, but another leapt over the body without slowing. They were close enough now for him to see their faces, sweat, grime, blood, and still that unshakable fire in their eyes. A human with a heavy shield slammed into the wall, not to climb it, but to absorb the fire for others. Behind him, soldiers with rifles and strange launchers opened up, hammering at the defensive positions. The alien soldier ducked as a spray of debris burst above his head that the comms lit up with urgent chatter. Left flank compromised. They're breaching Sector 4. Hold the gate. The soldier turned just in time to see a section of the wall erupt inward, a cloud of dust and fire swallowing the defenders. Through the gap, humans poured in. He stepped back, firing again and again, but the humans were relentless. A smaller one darted forward, tossing something at his feet. The alien soldier dived aside as the grenade detonated, sending a shockwave through his armor. When he looked up, the humans were inside the line. His squad closed ranks, meeting them in brutal close-quarters combat. The air was full of shouts, and the metallic clang of weapons striking armor. A human charged him, blade in hand. The soldier caught the strike on his rifle, the impact rattling his arms. The human's strength was surprising, raw, almost desperate. They locked eyes for a split second, and in that moment, the alien soldier saw no fear, only a burning refusal to lose. He shoved the human back, but the attacker recovered instantly, swinging again. It took a well-placed shot to finally stop him. And even then, the human staggered forward a few steps before collapsing. Breathing hard, the alien soldier backed toward the inner gate. Around him, his people were falling, one by one. The humans fought like every strike mattered, like every enemy taken down was a step toward something greater than victory. The commander's voice came again, sharper this time. Fall back to the citadel, regroup. The citadel was the last stronghold in this sector. If it fell, the humans would have complete control. The alien soldier followed the retreat, but his mind was racing. Every time they fell back, the humans gained more momentum. They moved through the narrow pass toward the citadel, the walls towering on either side. The alien soldier risked a glance over his shoulder. The humans were already entering the pass, their voices carrying in the wind. By the time they reached the citadel gates, the defenders were already scrambling to reinforce the walls. Heavy cannons swiveled into position, and the gates slammed shut with a deep, echoing boom. Inside, the alien soldier found a moment to breathe. His armor was scorched and dented, his weapon nearly empty. But he knew there would be no long rest. From the top of the wall, he could see the humans gathering outside the pass. They didn't look tired. They looked ready. They won't stop, he said quietly. One of his squadmates glanced at him. They're just soldiers. They'll die like all the others. But the alien soldier shook his head. They're not like the others. And then the humans came again. Their charge was deafening, a wall of sound and motion. Cannons fired down into them, tearing gaps in their ranks, but the gaps closed as fast as they opened. They climbed over rubble, over the bodies of their fallen, each step dragging them closer to the gate. A group with explosives reached the base of the wall. The alien soldier fired at them, hitting one, then another, but more took their place, setting charges against the steel. The blast shook the ground, and the gate shuddered. A second blast followed, and the metal groaned under the strain. The alien soldier felt his pulse quicken. The commander's orders came rapid fire now. Hold the breach. Do not let them through. He moved into position, weapon raised, as the humans broke through. The fight inside the walls was worse than anything before. Every corner, every stairwell became a battleground. The humans didn't slow. They didn't hesitate. In the chaos, the alien soldier found himself face to face with another human. This one was different, older, eyes like stone. They circled each other for a moment, then clashed, rifle against blade. The human's strikes were heavy, fueled by something deeper than muscle. The alien soldier barely managed to hold him back. But even as he fought, he knew this was not the end. Because humans, once they started, did not stop. The Citadel's corridors shook with the force of the battle. Metal groaned, alarms wailed, and the air was thick with smoke and the stench of burned wiring. The alien soldier moved through the chaos, weapon raised, every sense straining for signs of movement. Shadows danced on the walls from the flickering emergency lights, giving every corner a dangerous shape. He had fought in fortresses before. Strongholds like this were meant to be unbreakable, designed to keep enemies out for weeks, even months. But the humans were already inside after less than an hour. That fact gnawed at him more than he wanted to admit. In the main hall, defenders were forming a new line. Heavy shields locked together, rifles protruding through narrow firing slots. It was a tight, controlled formation, the way his people preferred to fight. But he couldn't shake the image of the humans' chaotic advance. How would this rigid line stand against that? A loud crash echoed from somewhere deeper in the Citadel. The comms erupted with overlapping voices. Sector 9 breached. We need reinforcements now. They're inside the lower barracks. The alien soldier and his squad turned toward the lower levels. As they moved, the lights above them sparked and died, plunging the corridor into a dim red glow. The air seemed to grow hotter with each step. When they reached the lower barracks, they found the humans already there. The room was a mess of overturned bunks and shattered crates, the air thick with dust. The humans moved like they owned the place. Quick, confident, no wasted motion. The alien soldier opened fire, dropping one, then another, but the humans didn't scatter. Instead, they surged forward, closing the distance with terrifying speed. One leapt onto a defender, dragging him to the floor. Another slammed a rifle butt into an alien's helmet, denting the metal. A human woman caught the alien soldier's attention. She fought with a blade, darting in and out of reach, her strikes precise but unpredictable. Every time he thought she was retreating, she came back harder, faster. He managed to parry her strike, but the force rattled his arms. His squad pushed forward, and the humans finally fell back toward the hallway. But even as they retreated, they fought for every inch, slowing the aliens' advance. The soldier realized with a cold certainty, they weren't just falling back. They were drawing his squad deeper into the maze of the Citadel. The trap snapped shut when they reached a narrow choke point. Explosives detonated at both ends, cutting them off. Before the dust cleared, the humans were on them. The alien soldier fought desperately, blocking a strike, countering with a shot, then shoving an attacker into the wall. Every clash brought that same burning look in human eyes. It wasn't just anger. It wasn't just survival. It was something far older and far more dangerous. By the time his squad broke free of the choke point, half of them were gone. The survivors limped back toward the central command chamber, but the humans were still everywhere, in the halls, in the stairwells, bursting through maintenance hatches as if they knew the Citadel's layout better than its own defenders. Alien soldier reached the command chamber just as the doors sealed. Inside, the commander stood at the tactical table, holographic displays flickering with red alerts. They're overrunning the outer sections. We hold here or we lose the Citadel. The soldier took position at the front, his rifle trained on the main doors. The sounds of battle outside were like a living storm, gunfire, shouts, explosions, boots pounding on steel. When the doors blew inward, the humans came in waves. The first group was cut down by concentrated fire. but the second pushed through, before the doors could be sealed again. Then came the third, and the fourth. The alien soldier fought shoulder to shoulder with his comrades. Each step back cost in blood. A human slammed into him, knocking the rifle from his hands. They struggled hand to hand, the human's fists hammering against his armor. The alien soldier countered with a blow to the side, forcing the human back. Even unarmed, the human came. Again, teeth bared, eyes alight with that same unbreakable fire. It took 2 more strikes to drop him, and even then, he tried to grab the soldier's leg as he fell. By the time the humans pulled back from the chamber, the floor was littered with bodies from both sides. The alien soldier retrieved his rifle, breathing hard. The commander ordered an immediate lockdown, sealing bulkheads throughout the citadel. For a few minutes, there was silence. The soldier almost thought the humans had stopped. But then, faintly at first, he heard it, the rhythmic pounding of boots on metal. It grew louder, closer. A squad mate muttered, "They should be exhausted by now." The alien soldier shook his head. "They don't tire the way we do." The pounding became a roar. The humans hit the sealed bulkheads like battering rams. Again and again, the metal groaning under each impact. Then came the cutting torches, their bright arcs slicing through steel. When the bulkhead finally fell, the humans didn't charge recklessly. They moved with calculated precision, clearing corners, covering each other, pushing forward step by step. The alien soldier fired until his rifle overheated. He switched to his sidearm, each shot echoing in the narrow space. But no matter how many fell, more kept coming. The humans broke into the command chamber again, this time in greater numbers. The fighting was brutal, close, personal. The alien soldier found himself backed against the tactical table, trading blows with a human whose face was hidden behind a cracked visor, their weapons locked, the human leaning forward with raw strength. Through the visor's damage, the soldier saw eyes that burned brighter than the fires outside. And for the first time in his long life, the alien soldier understood this wasn't just war for them. This was something deeper, something primal. He didn't know if they could be stopped. The command chamber was no longer a place of order. It was a storm contained within walls, a chaos of movement, shouts, and the clanging crash of weapons striking armor. The alien soldier fought because there was no other choice, his body moving on instinct, his training trying to impose structure on a fight that refused to obey any structure at all. The humans didn't press forward in neat formations. They surged, in waves that overlapped and folded over one another. One would dart in and feint, drawing fire, only for another to slip through and strike where the defense was weakest. The alien soldier was used to predictable opponents, enemies who fought like chess pieces, each move anticipating the next. These humans fought like a wildfire, impossible to predict and harder to stop. A blast tore through the left side of the chamber, showering the defenders with shards of burning metal. The soldier ducked, heat searing across his armor. When he rose again, the breach was already full of humans. One lunged at him, swinging a jagged blade. He parried with his rifle, using the weapon stock to drive the attacker back. The human stumbled but didn't fall, instead rolling to the side and striking again. Faster this time. The alien soldier responded with a sharp strike to the shoulder, but even that didn't slow the human. It was as if pain was nothing more than background noise to them. He finally brought the human down with a point-blank shot, the sound deafening in the enclosed space around him. The situation worsened. The commander was shouting orders, but half the defenders were already down. The humans had driven them into the center of the room, forcing them back step by step. The soldier could feel the wall behind him. There was no more space to give. Then something changed. The humans stopped pushing. Instead, they fanned out along the edges of the chamber, taking up positions behind overturned consoles and shattered debris. It was as if they were waiting for something, The alien soldier didn't understand until he heard the low, distant thud of heavy footsteps. They grew louder, more deliberate. Like the approach of something enormous. From the breach stepped a figure unlike the others, taller, broader, the armor painted with marks that looked old and worn. The helmet was scratched, but the eyes behind the visor glowed faintly in the smoky light. This human moved with a confidence that spoke of long experience. The alien soldier recognized him instantly as a leader, not because of rank insignia, but because the air in the room shifted when he arrived. The humans straightened. Their movements became sharper. Their focus narrowed. The commander raised his weapon and shouted for concentrated fire. The defenders unleashed a storm of shots. But the human leader moved through it like a shadow. Each step was deliberate, each return shot precise. He wasn't just firing wildly. Every pull of the trigger found a mark. The alien soldier engaged him directly, stepping into the line of fire. Their eyes met for the briefest moment, and the soldier felt the same unsettling heat he'd felt before from the others, but amplified. It was more than fury. It was conviction. They closed the distance, weapons clashing. The human's strength was immense, his strikes heavy enough to drive the alien soldier back. But strength wasn't the only thing the human was reading. Him, adapting to his defenses with frightening speed. A blow caught the soldier across the chest, the impact nearly knocking the wind out of him. He stumbled, catching himself against the tactical table. The human didn't press the attack recklessly. He waited, letting the moment stretch. "You've already lost," the human said. The voice muffled by the helmet but steady. The alien soldier said nothing. Words didn't matter here. He launched forward again, forcing the human back with a flurry of strikes. For a moment, it seemed to work, until the human shifted, sidestepped, and struck with brutal precision. The soldier's weapon flew from his hands. Before the killing blow could fall, the commander tackled the human from the side, knocking him off balance. The room erupted again into full chaos. The alien soldier retrieved his weapon, the barrel scorched and pitted, and fired into the advancing line of humans. It wasn't enough. The humans surged forward, the breach widening with every push. The defenders fell one after another. The commander shouted for a final fallback to the secure lifts, but the soldier knew there was no safe place left. He moved with the retreating survivors, every step punctuated by gunfire. They made it into the lift bay, sealing the blast. Doors behind them. The moment the doors shut, silence fell, broken only by the heavy breathing of the few who remained. The lift began to rise toward the upper decks. The alien soldier leaned against the wall, feeling the vibration of the machinery through his armor. His hands were sore from gripping his weapon too tightly. One of his squad mates broke the silence. "They won't follow us up here. Too fortified." The soldier almost laughed, though there was nothing funny about it. "They will." The lift shuddered. A sound echoed from somewhere below, a deep, resonant clang, like something heavy striking metal. Another clang followed, closer this time. The soldier's stomach sank. The humans had found the lift shaft. The vibration grew stronger. Then, with a violent jolt, the lift stopped. Emergency lights bathed the compartment in red. The sound of cutting torches filled the air, and the smell of burning steel was unmistakable. The defenders raised their weapons. The alien soldier took position at the front, his breathing slow, steady. Through the sparks raining from the ceiling, he saw the first human drop into the lift, landing in a crouch, weapon already firing. The soldier met him head-on. The fight was brutal and fast, bodies colliding in the tight space. More humans dropped in from above, each one adding to the storm. The lift became a cage of violence, every inch contested. And through it all, the alien soldier couldn't escape the thought that had been growing since the first clash on the ridge. This was not a war, he understood. This was something deeper, something older, something born in the marrow of these Humans, something that would not stop until nothing was left standing. The lift became a tomb of noise and motion. The walls shook with every impact, the red light flashing over armor and steel like a heartbeat. The alien soldier could barely tell where one fight ended and the next began. Humans and aliens tangled together in the narrow space, weapons scraping, boots stomping, fists and rifle stocks striking in brutal rhythm. A human slammed into him shoulder first, driving him into the wall. His armor absorbed most of the force, but the shock still rattled his bones. He shoved the attacker away, firing. A shot burst into the man's chest. The human staggered back but didn't fall, not until a second shot found its mark. Even then, the man's hand twitched toward his weapon, as if the fight wasn't over even in death dot above them. The sound of more boots hitting the lift roof echoed like a drumbeat. The humans were pouring in from the shaft, one after another. There was no pause, no hesitation. It was as if the narrow space and the danger only made them faster. A defender to his left screamed as a human blade found a gap in her armor. The alien soldier pivoted, slamming his rifle butt into the attacker's helmet, cracking the visor. Through the splintered glass, he saw eyes that glowed with something fierce, not rage alone, but a raw, unshakable will. The commander's voice cut through the noise, harsh and strained. "Push them back, clear the lift." The alien soldier obeyed, driving forward with heavy, calculated strikes. But for every human they forced out, two more seemed to drop in. The air grew hotter with each passing second, the metallic tang of blood mixing with the sharp burn of overheating weapons. Then came the worst sound of all, the screech of the lift's emergency brakes unlocking. Someone somewhere had overridden the controls. The floor lurched, and the lift began to descend, pulled downward by its own weight. The alien soldier's stomach tightened. If the humans controlled where the lift stopped, they could be dropping straight into another stronghold, or worse, straight into an ambush from their own forces. The humans seemed to know it too. Their movements grew more aggressive, less about holding ground and more about forcing the defenders against the walls. One human drove into the soldier's side, knocking him back into the corner. Another came from the right, weapon swinging. Low toward his legs, he blocked the strike, catching the human's arm and twisting. The joint gave way with a sharp pop, but instead of falling, the human roared and headbutted him through the visor. The blow left his vision swimming for a second. That was all it took for the man to draw a knife and slash at his shoulder plates. Pain flashed through him, but he reacted on instinct, shoving the human back and firing point blank. The body crumpled, but the soldier couldn't shake the feeling that it had taken far too much to end that fight. The lift slammed to a stop. The doors hissed open, and beyond them was not a fortified deck, but darkness, lit only by the flicker of fire. The air smelled of scorched plastic and something far worse, the unmistakable stench of a battlefield left to rot. The humans didn't hesitate. They poured out into the shadows, some pulling the wounded along, others moving with rifles ready. The alien defenders followed cautiously, stepping over debris. The ground was littered with twisted metal, broken crates, and the occasional shape of a fallen soldier. The soldier kept his weapon high, scanning the shadows. The humans had stopped rushing now. They moved slower here, more deliberate, as if this place mattered to them in a different way. A low hum reached his ears, the sound of machinery, faint but steady. Somewhere in the darkness ahead, a light flared briefly before dying again. The commander gestured forward. "Secure the area." They moved in a staggered line, the red glow from the fires casting long warped shadows on the walls. The alien soldier caught movement to his right, a human slipping into a side corridor. He broke from the formation. Following, the corridor narrowed until it was barely wide enough for his armor. His footsteps echoed against the walls. The human was just ahead, the faint outline of a rifle visible in the half-light. He closed the gap quickly, raising his weapon. But the human didn't run. Instead, the man turned slowly, his face smeared with ash, his expression unreadable in the flickering light. "You don't understand," the human said quietly, voice hoarse. The alien soldier hesitated. Words were rare in close combat. "This isn't about winning a war," the man continued. "It's about making sure you never forget us." Then the human stepped forward, fast. The soldier fired, but the shot went wide as the man slammed into him, knocking them both into the wall. They grappled, the human's hands locking around his weapon. The fight was short and vicious. The soldier managed to wrench free and land a blow to the man's temple. The human dropped, but even unconscious, his grip on the weapon took effort to break. When the soldier rejoined the main force, the commander was already barking fresh orders. The humans were regrouping deeper in the darkness, forming a rough circle around something he couldn't see. Then he heard it. A steady, rhythmic sound. Not machinery. Not weapons fire. Drums. The beat was deep, primal, and it seemed to ripple through the air. The humans began to move with the rhythm, their breathing sinking to it. Their eyes locked on the enemy ahead. The alien soldier felt the hair along his neck rise. This was no ordinary tactic. This was ritual. A preparation for something far worse. Then a charge. When the drums stopped, the silence that followed was suffocating. Then, as one, the humans moved. They didn't roar. They didn't shout. They just came forward, step by deliberate step, each movement perfectly in time. And the soldier realized this was what true human fury looked like when it was focused. Not chaos, not wild rage, but a storm given direction, a storm he wasn't sure his people could survive. The humans advanced in that eerie, unified silence, boots striking the ground in perfect rhythm. The sound was not loud, but it filled the alien soldier's ears as if it were the only thing in the world. No shouted orders, no wild charges this time, only that measured, deliberate march that felt heavier than the artillery blasts from earlier. The alien commander ordered his forces to form a tight wall across the open space, shields locked, rifles braced. It was a defensive posture his people had perfected over centuries, an unbreakable barrier. The alien soldier took his place in the line, his hands gripping his weapon tighter than usual. The humans drew closer, still silent. Even through the smoke and dim light, he could see their eyes, steady, unblinking, burning with something that was not madness but certainty. They knew exactly what they were walking into, and it didn't seem to matter to them. At 30 meters. The first shots rang out. His side fired in disciplined bursts, the recoil rippling through the defensive line. Humans fell. Some tumbled forward, rolling to a stop. Others collapsed where they stood. But the line didn't waver. The humans simply stepped over their fallen and kept coming. 20 meters. The commander barked for sustained fire. The air filled with heat and the smell of scorched metal. More humans went down, their armor blackened, their limbs jerking from impact, and still they came on. 10 meters. The alien soldier felt his throat tighten. At this range, an enemy should either break into a charge or scatter to find cover, but the humans did neither. They closed the distance step by step, as if the gunfire was nothing more than rain. When they finally broke into a run, it was like a dam bursting. The silence shattered into a roar that hit harder than the blast waves from grenades. The alien soldier barely had time to brace before the impact. Humans slammed into the shield wall, driving it back a full step. The formation held, but it felt less like holding back soldiers and more like trying to hold back the ocean. A human with a heavy hammer smashed into the soldier's shield, the blow ringing through his bones. He shoved back, firing point blank, into the man's chest. The human dropped, but another took his place instantly, a blade flashing toward the soldier's side. He twisted away, countering with a strike to the attacker's ribs. The wall began to buckle. The alien soldier heard the sharp clang of shields falling and the grunts of his comrades as they were dragged into the melee. The fight dissolved into pockets of brutal close combat. The soldier found himself face to face with a human woman, her helmet gone, her hair plastered to her forehead with sweat and blood. She struck first, her blade scraping across his shoulder plate. He blocked, countering with a downward strike, but she sidestepped, moving with the quickness of someone who'd fought 1,000 such fights. They circled each other in the chaos, trading blows. Her breathing was heavy but steady. His arms ached from the effort, but she showed no sign of slowing. Finally, he fainted low, drawing her guard down, and slammed the butt of his rifle into her temple. She dropped to one knee but still tried to rise before another defender pulled her down. Everywhere he looked, the fight was the same, humans refusing to stop even when outnumbered, outgunned, and wounded. The alien soldier felt the strange tightness in his chest again. It wasn't fear exactly, but something close. The commander's voice rang out over the comms, ordering a fallback to the inner sanctum. It was the last secure section in the sector, a place meant to house command staff during extended sieges. But they had already fallen back twice today. And each time the humans had followed without hesitation, the retreat was messy. The humans pressed hard, forcing the defenders to leave behind wounded who couldn't be carried. The alien soldier stayed near the rear, covering the withdrawal, with short bursts of fire. Every time he thought they'd bought enough distance, the humans were there again, closing the gap. By the time they reached the sanctum gates, the defenders were exhausted. The massive doors slid shut with a deep, echoing thud, sealing them. Inside, the sanctum was quiet, too quiet. The alien soldier could hear his own breathing, the faint hum of emergency lighting, and the distant groan of metal under stress. The commander gathered the survivors around the central table, a holographic map flickering above it. "They've taken everything up to this point," the commander said, voice grim. "If we hold here, reinforcements might reach us." The soldier didn't miss the word might. Before anyone could respond, the lights flickered. The holographic map dissolved into static. Somewhere deep within the sanctum, metal screamed as if something massive was tearing through it. Then came a sound he recognized all too well, the slow, steady pounding of human boots. They had found another way in. The defenders rushed to the far wall, where a service corridor ended in a blast door. The pounding grew louder, the door denting inward with each impact. The alien soldier raised his rifle, every muscle tense. The door blew inward in a shower of sparks, and the humans surged through. But this time, they didn't spread out. They came straight for the center, ignoring flanking fire, ignoring the defenders shouting in their faces. The soldier fired until his rifle overheated, then switched to his sidearm. The humans closed in, the air between them charged with the heat of battle. One human, tall, broad, his armor marked with deep scars, locked eyes with him and charged. The soldier braced, blocking the first strike, but the second slammed into his side, nearly knocking him off his feet. They traded blows in a blur, the human strength matched by the soldier's precision. In the chaos, the alien soldier realized something chilling. The humans weren't just fighting to win here. They were fighting to finish it. This wasn't a push to take ground or capture territory. This was the moment they meant to break their enemy completely. The thought lodged deep in his mind as the human pressed harder, every strike driving him back toward the wall. And for the first time in his long career, the alien soldier wondered not if they could hold the line, but if there would be anything left to hold it all. The wall of the sanctum rattled under the force of the fighting. The alien soldier's back scraped against cold alloy as he pushed himself forward, breaking the human's momentum with a hard shove. The clash of armor and metal was deafening in the confined space, each strike echoing off the walls like thunder. The air was thick with heat and the sharp tang of blood, and somewhere beneath it all was the steady, Grim determination that rolled off the humans like a wave. The broad human in front of him pressed the attack, moving with surprising speed for his size. The alien soldier parried one strike, ducked another, then drove his shoulder into the human's chest. The impact made the man stagger, but not fall. Instead, the human grinned, a grim, almost feral expression, and came back twice as hard. Around them, the sanctum was falling into chaos. The defenders had been forced into tight knots of resistance, fighting in circles of steel and bodies. Every time a human went down, another took their place, their boots splashing through blood on the polished alloy floor. The alien soldier had fought against species who relied on numbers before, but this wasn't the same. This wasn't just numbers. It was an unending will to push forward, no matter the cost. A loud crack split the air as the sanctum's secondary blast door gave way. More humans poured in through the breach, some carrying heavy weapons, others charging with blades drawn. The defenders tried to regroup, but there was no room, no time. The humans crashed into them like a living tide. The alien soldier's commander shouted over the comms, voice sharp with urgency. "Pull back to the command dais. Protect the core." The core, the heart of the sanctum systems, sat at the far end of the chamber, elevated and shielded by layers of armor. If it fell, there would be no controlling the citadels. Defenses, no hope of slowing the enemy's advance anywhere else. The alien soldier moved toward it, laying down fire as he went. A human leapt into his path, swinging a weapon that looked like a crude mix between a sword and an axe. The soldier blocked with his rifle, sparks flying as metal scraped metal. The human pushed hard, teeth bared, forcing the soldier back a step. With a twist and a sudden pull, the human wrenched the rifle from his grip and flung it aside. Collided chest to chest, grappling for control. The human's breath was hot against the soldier's helmet, each movement fueled by something deeper than survival. The alien soldier slammed his knee upward, forcing the human to loosen his grip, then twisted away, drawing his sidearm and firing in one motion. The shot took the human in the side, but even then, he tried to lunge again before collapsing. The soldier retrieved his rifle and pressed on toward the dais. More defenders were falling back there, forming a desperate last ring of defense. The humans came at them from every direction now, using the debris and smoke as cover. The soldier picked his targets carefully, aiming for those who moved with the unmistakable bearing of leaders. But even when they fell, the humans didn't slow. Then he saw him, the tall human leader from earlier, the one whose presence had shifted the entire battlefield. The man moved through the chaos like a predator, his weapon spitting fire with each step. Defenders fell before him as if their armor was paper. The alien soldier locked eyes with him for a brief second, and that same heat, that same unsettling pressure, tightened in his chest. The commander barked his name over the comms. "Hold him!" The soldier stepped forward, intercepting the human before he could reach the dais. Their weapons met with a clang that vibrated through his bones. The man was stronger than before, or maybe it was the soldier who was weaker now. Worn thin by the unrelenting fight, they traded blows in a storm of sparks and steel. The alien soldier tried to use his training, his precision, his practiced patterns. But the human adapted to every move, shifting his attacks in ways that made no tactical sense, and yet always found their mark. A strike to the soldier's side sent him stumbling, pain flaring through his ribs. The human pressed the advantage, swinging hard toward his head. The soldier barely caught the blow, twisting away and countering with a strike to the man's leg. The human staggered but didn't fall. Instead, he lunged forward, closing the distance until they were nearly face to face. "You don't quit, do you?" the soldier said, his voice tight. The human's eyes burned behind the visor. "Neither do we." With a sudden surge, the human drove into him, and they both crashed into the steps of the dais. The soldier's rifle skittered away across the floor. They rolled, each trying to gain the upper hand, until the soldier managed to pin the human's arm. For a heartbeat, they stayed locked there, breathing hard, each waiting for the other to make the next move. Then the sound of the sanctum's shield generators failing roared above them, a deep, vibrating hum that died into silence. Both men looked up at the same time. The humans had broken through the last line of defense. The dais was surrounded. Commander's voice came again, but this time it wasn't an order. It was resignation. The core is lost. The human leader shoved the alien soldier aside and rose to his feet. But instead of delivering the killing blow, he looked down at him for a long, silent moment, a look that was not hatred, but acknowledgement. Then he turned and strode toward the core. The alien soldier pushed himself up, chest heaving, weaponless, watching as the humans claimed the dais. The leader reached the core, placing a gloved hand against its surface as if it were something sacred. The room was still now, save for the quiet breathing of the living and the faint crackle of burning debris. The humans had stopped fighting, but their presence filled the space as completely as their fury had filled the battlefield. The alien soldier understood in that moment that this was not simply a victory for them. This was a message one his people would carry back long after this place was gone, and deep inside he knew the truth. They hadn't just lost the sanctum. They had seen what humans truly were, and they would never forget it.